Hello everyone, Joseph Dunphy here, and this is your weekly Grass10 grazing management update on the dairy edge. Your PastureBase figures for the week: the average farm cover is 705 kilos of dry matter per hectare, and the cover per livestock unit is 251 kilos of dry matter per livestock unit. Growth is sitting at 31 kilos of dry matter per hectare, and demand is around 40 kilos of dry matter per hectare. Pre-grazing yield is at 1640 kilos of dry matter per hectare, and the diet at the minute, about 12 kilos of grass, 4 kilos of meal and 3 kilos of silage. Dry matter percentages for the week are 14% in Moore Park, County Cork, 16% in Oak Park, County Carlow, and 14% in Athenry, County Galway. Your predicted grass growth, rainfall and soil temperatures for the coming 7 days. Grass growth predictions, with the time of the year, are dropping with between 20 and 25 kilos of dry matter per hectare expected for most of the country over the coming 7 days. Soil temperatures, again, are expected to be about between 11 and 12 degrees, and there's a considerable amount of rainfall on the forecast for the next week, with between 30 and 40 millimetres of rain expected for most of the country. Your Grass10 tips for the coming 7 days. In general, grazing conditions are excellent around the country, with good drying breezes negating some of the heavier spills of rain that came particularly on the western seaboard over the weekend. Many farmers that would now be fully housed are grazing day and night, or by day, which is great as we approach the last week of October. The two objectives on farm are to keep grass in the diet of the grazing animal and to close the farm up to have grass available in the spring. Average farm cover has dropped this week by over 50 kilos of dry matter per hectare as growth has declined and grass demand remains high on farm, and there is now also more silage in the diet. On dairy farms where spring grass supply is a priority, farmers should aim for a farm cover of 700 to 750 kilos of dry matter per hectare on the 1st of December. To get good cleanouts at the minute on paddocks, continue to strip graze, use a back fence and multiple access points to reduce damage. It's important to keep measuring weekly at this time of the year, as a week's grazing with low growth rates can have a big impact on average farm cover. Grass growth is now significantly lower than herd demand, therefore the management of average farm cover becomes more critical. This week, you should have 40% of your farm closed on dry farms. Heavy farms should have close to 60% closed by now. The aim on dry farms is to have close to 70% of the farm closed by the 1st of November, and heavy farms over 80%. Thinking of the grazing order for your final rotation, the paddocks that will need to be closed from mid-October on are paddocks with good grazing infrastructure that you will target for early grazing in spring 2025. And these will have a medium cover of 800 to 1200 on it to start grazing. So you should be grazing these paddocks now. To help develop clover and paddocks, closing on some of these paddocks should start this week. And see our Picking Your Paddocks infograph in this week's Grass10 newsletter to guide you in closing off your farm. This week's featured farmer is Brian Meade from Rathkenny, Navan, County Meath. Its average farm cover is 770 kilos of dry matter per hectare. Cover per livestock unit is 288 kilos of dry matter per livestock unit, and growth is 38 kilos of dry matter per hectare at the minute. Its pre-grazing yield is 1600 kilos of dry matter per hectare, and milk yield is currently 16.5 litres with a fat of 505 and protein of 435. Grazing conditions are excellent on farm at the minute, and the cows are out grazing by day and they're housed at night. Brian plans on finishing grazing around the 15th to the 20th of November, depending on weather, with a closing target on the 1st of December of 700 kilos of dry matter per hectare. The target is to have 60% of its farm closed, as we said, by the 1st of November, and paddocks reseeded with clover this year will be grazed in the next 2 weeks. The cows are on 12-hour grass allowances during the day. The cow diet is 8 kilos of grass, 2 kilos of meal in the parlour, 2 kilos of silage, and 7 kilos of zero graze grass. And this zero graze grass will be finished the next couple of days, and the cows will be back on silage by night. If you'd like to hear more from the Grass10 team, subscribe to the weekly Grass10 newsletter, which is available on the Grass10 page on the Teagasc public website. And the link to the newsletter is also available in the description of this podcast. We'd like to thank the sponsors of the Grass10 campaign: AIB, Grassland Agro, Department of Agriculture, FBD and the Farmers Journal. This has been your Grass10 update, and I'll talk to you all next week.